Hello everyone, my name's Billy and I'm one of the developers of Grovekeeper, an RTS where you control a forest and defend it against human loggers and poachers. Today I want to talk about making monsters. So in October last year, in 2024, we attended South by Southwest to present Grovekeeper to anyone who was interested. But it became clear that the game's visual style wasn't cohesive. Some models were store-bought assets and others, well, really models made quickly and cheaply at the start of the project almost 2.5 years ago. The goal is to redesign all these creatures again with a consistent art style in mind. I'm not the best artist in the world or even in New South Wales, but I know enough to convey the idea of these creatures and what I'm going for, and that's all concept art is anyway. Besides, I think consistency is more important than technical fidelity for when it comes to creating a style. Look at Rimworld, Valheim, Mountain Blade. These games and others might not have the best graphics, but they're filled with style, atmosphere, and consistency. If you look at the models and textures in Valheim, they're super low resolution, but it totally doesn't matter because look at how beautiful the art style is. So that's what I'm trying to do with Grovekeeper, is figure out once and for all what the style of this game is. I want to avoid looking like an asset flip game, which is where a developer will just purchase a bunch of asset packs from the Unity Asset Store and make a cheap, quick game and earn a few bucks on Steam. Notable examples might include the Slaughtering Grounds, Earth Year 2066, Orion Dino Horde.
Dinosaurs remain.
No hate, but these games often cobble together pre-purchased asset packs without any effort to harmonize them. You might see realistic 3D models alongside cartoonish props or environments, creating a jarring experience. The disjointed visuals make the game feel lazy or unprofessional, undermining player immersion, so I definitely want to avoid this. The look that I think we're going for is early to mid-2000s 3D graphics, something like Age of Empires 3. So realistic human proportions, but a stylized, almost cartoony aesthetic. I've really been enjoying the process of sketching and rendering out these characters. It's also giving me the chance to really nail down on what could bring these characters together in terms of their design. It's also helping me get a handle on their shapes and their form and textures. This process will mean that I will be responsible for at least all the texturing on the project, just to make sure that even if a model has been made by someone else, there is a connection between all the assets, working as a sort of stylistic glue holding the whole project together. So let's look at some of the improvements. This is the Satyr in its first ever iteration back in 2022. This is the first unit I modeled for the game, and I did it in Blender while I was learning the program. I used metaballs and I did it in a really unoptimal way. There was something like 30,000 polygons just for one unit. And considering this game involves having many units running and fighting across the scene at one time, it affected the performance. I didn't sketch out the creature beforehand and develop a blueprint for the style. I just opened Blender and tried to model a creature. Now I knew at the time that this was going to be a placeholder and that it would be updated one day, which is this day, almost a year later when I overhauled the combat. Now this model is definitely better, but still not great or well optimized. I just grabbed a free model of a man and a model of a horse rearing on its hind legs and cut them up and stitched them back together, and this was the result. The tail has physics joints on it, so it reacts to the character's movements, which is all well and good, but it's still not great. So after my most recent attempt at nailing down the art direction, this is how I redesigned the Satyr. The Satyr is often depicted as a half-man, half-goat, but originally, in early Greek mythology, they are depicted as half-man, half-horse hybrids. This version gradually gave way to the goat-legged imagery we see today, likely due to the influence of Dionysian cults, where goats symbolize fertility and revelry. But I think that the half-horse version is way cooler, and it implies a sort of muscularity and athleticism. So with this in mind, I came up with some designs. I want the Satyr to be the most human-like of the player units, with a gentle and kind nature. But they're also meant to be carnal and hedonistic nature spirits, so I knew I had to throw in like this luscious mullet and some chest hair. I stopped short of the gold chain though. I didn't think that was quite right. This design isn't a complete 180 from where it was before, but with a bit more direction and a six-pack. So at this point I went into Maya and remodeled and then retopologized the old model to perfection. Now the poly count is hovering at about 5,000 and it looks way better. Every single edge on the model is a loop, which is really nice and satisfying. So I cut up the UVs and started with the textures, trying my best to match the concept art, including layers of shading, skin blotches and dirt, subdermal color variation. I baked a high poly mesh into the textures to give it more detail in the normal map. And finally, this is what we've ended up with. I think it looks pretty cool. From here we can see the polygon lines and a few artifacts here and there, but keep in mind that for the majority of this gameplay, we're observing this model for this far away. So there's a balance that needs to be struck between detail and optimization, and for me, it's about here. So here's a quick preview of some of the other creatures I've designed compared to the versions that were presented at the demo at South by Southwest. This has been really good, but it's one of those tricky situations where it's like, as you do this kind of thing, your skills improve, so that when you look back on your old models, you feel like updating them, and it's like this never-ending cycle of improving your models, and at some point you've just got to stop and accept the standard that you're at currently. Thanks for making it this far, everyone. If you have even slightly enjoyed this video or learned something from it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Also, the Steam store page is up, so head over there to wishlist the game now and show support. Next time I'll share more about the Guardian designs and how these characters are evolving into something truly unique, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching. Peace, love, Unity 3D.